Howdy ho, Andrew here, aka Kelp here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Hilarious Gaming Stories. So this one's not so much hilarious, this is just one of the things I really appreciated about Ultima Online. Just God honest truth, one of the things I really appreciated is how they did the skill up. So you got skill, like I told you in the previous video of Greg versus the chicken, the way to increase your sword skill to I think it was to 20. I think it maxed out at 20 this way, was to hit the hanging dummy with the sword. You just hit there and whack the dummy with your sword. And slowly your skill in swordmanship would go up until you hit about 20, and then it maxed out and you had to hit tougher opponents. But I really appreciated how Ultima Online did their skills. And because of how they did their skills, it created a guild event, would be the best way to put it. Now, if you watched my Dark Age of Camelot videos, you know I'm big on guild events. That was one of the things I brought to all my guilds when I ran them, is I created events that brought the unity of the guild together through the events. And Ultima was no different. Is if you wanted to get better at magic, you had to cast magic. If you wanted to get better at mace or sword or defense for that matter, shield, the easiest way was to duel another player. If you wanted to get better, your magic resistance up, you had magic cast on you. If you wanted to get better at mining, you had to mine. If you wanted to get better at wood chopping, you had to cut wood. And if you wanted better stamina, you had to be encumbered and walk, and you'd lose your stamina, but your stamina would drain because you're over encumbered, but that's how you gain stamina points. I really like this system, and that's what we did in Ultima Online. Is I would, especially in the early days, once people got maxed out, they weren't so much into this because they already had their skills. But in the early days, you'd bring in 20, 30 guild members, and like 3 of us, we would cast a wall of fire, and then the players would walk through the fire, and they're taking damage, so they could walk through, I think it was 3 to 5 times, and then you had to stop and you had to rest or heal up and get your health points up, and then you'd go through it again. And that's what we do. Walk through the fire, and this would raise your magic resistance. And the person casting the wall of fire, it would raise their spell casting ability. Another way, I still remember the name of the spell. Well, I don't know the name of the spell, but on the screen it would say Corpor, and that was just basically a magic missile from D&D. And boom, boom, boom. And you'd cast it on a person. They'd take damage, but their magic resistance would raise up. And the higher their magic resistance, the less damage they'd take from magic. And this is how Ultima Online handled skills. And I really do appreciate that. Like, you have no idea how much I appreciate that, because you were earning your abilities. You were picking what abilities you wanted to raise, because there was a limit. You could not be excellent at everything. You had to pick and choose. So you would pick out what abilities you want to raise, and then you'd go to your guild, and your guild would set up the event, and you'd raise those abilities. And I think that was a fantastic way. I mean, Elder Scrolls does much the same thing nowadays after the fact, but I still think that was a great way. Now, I didn't like Elder Scrolls for the first-person stuff, and to this day, I don't like Elder Scrolls for the shield and the parry, where you have to time it with your click on the joystick or the mouse or the game controller. I think if you have a high skill in something, it should be automatic. Like if I have a shield ability, okay, I've raised my shield ability, but my shield should be activated instantly. I shouldn't have to worry about clicking, because not all of us have the hand-eye coordination. Like, especially now, I'm almost 60 years old, and like, I don't know if you can see it on this finger, but you can see you can see how wide that knuckle right here is, and that's osteoarthritis. So like, I don't have the hand-eye that I once had in my 20s. And so the games like the Elder Scrolls nowadays, I tend to avoid them, because even though you raise those skills, you're still dependent on your hand-eye, and I just don't have the hand-eye at 60 years old. Whereas Ultima did it the proper way, is you raised those skills and it was automatic. It's like you shoot an arrow at me, my shield goes up and blocks it, or I parry it because I've raised my skill in shield or parry. And that's the way it should be, in my opinion, in these games. I don't think we should ever have to rely on hand-eye coordination, because like, what if you have, I'm going to go to an extreme here, but what if one of the players is epileptic or something and, they're shaking? Well, hand-eye is never going to be their strong point, so why should they be punished? And that's how I look at it anyway. But yeah, I loved how UO did the skills, because you had to play, unless you used a macro, which I covered in the last video, you had to play to get good at the abilities, to raise the abilities. It was the reward for you playing. And I really do believe that's how games should be designed. And I really loved Ultima for having that system like that. It's one of the biggest compliments I can give Ultima was that system. Like, they got a lot wrong, but I really do believe this system that they did, they got it right on this one, minus the macros. Hell with macros. But anyway, so that's my story for this week. If you like this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just click the subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Always feel free to leave a comment. Tell me, what's your favorite systems? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What game stands out as having the best skill system to raise up? Do you like just leveling up and picking your skills, or do you like a more hands-on like I'm describing here in Ultima Online? You let me know. Anyway, the other reason for leaving a comment is it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.